So that's what I'm using for this. And then as it gets lighter, I added Viridian and a little bit of cadmium yellow. And so I'm just trying to find where my petals are or where my leaves are. I think those are called sepals, those little leaves that hang off the top of your petals. I'm sorry, at the bottom of your roses, that attach it to the stem. I think they're sepals, and sometimes they'll stick out, and I like it whenever they change colors, and even if they, they'll get a little bit more on the red side, the transparent red oxide, or it'll get a little bit on, just brown or a little yellow on there, but I like that variety of color in there. Now I'm still using on this. Now I'm trying to find my shapes now that I know where everything is. And then I use some of my background to kind of cut the areas of the petals to kind of find where the petals end and begin. Begin and end, I suppose. So at the beginning, I just got those basic shapes. That's a round rose, so just paint a circle. That's an oval rose, where is it a little flatter on one side or a little bit, a little wonky circle, but it's just a general shape, right? And then I'm getting my deep, my darkest colors, or even my most saturated colors in. It's the most important whenever they're saturated color, because you want to keep that color in there. So if it's yellow or deep, or terra rosa, or that hot pink, that rose deep, you want to get those colors in because you don't want to get those too muddy. And so I do that at the beginning, trying to find those high, those areas of lightest color. And then whenever I do my background, I cut away at my petals, trying to define them a little bit more. Then once I'm done with that, then I start to concern myself with, deciding which areas of the petals or of my rose or my subject do I want it to kind of blend into the background. And I find I do this the most when the edges are going towards shadows. So in this case, those bottom roses are going towards the back of my painting. And so they are, the back of, where all those shadows are of the leaves, then those edges are really going to be blurred out. Whenever things are in shadow, we don't see them very clearly. They're not very well defined. And so once I get all that, then I start, concerning myself with that, focusing on that, I should say. Once I have that, then I really start to pull out those petals that I want. Now, as we move along, we're going to start working on that pot. And like I said, trying to find my shadows, define them or blur them out depending on, the look I'm going for, what I see in that direction. because my pottery is a little bit on the antique side, it has some, just a tiniest bit of gray in it. So I'm going to add a tiny bit of ivory black to it, to the cobalt. And then I'm going to use Gamsol to kind of thin it down a little bit, and oleo gel. Oleo gel is what I'm using as my medium for this. There's a video on YouTube that shows all, whatever materials I use. So I mentioned before that, pottery it's called glazing when you paint it and you use this ground glass, right? Well, that cobalt will bleed into it. So at first, whenever I'm painting, wherever you painted, whenever you glazed your pottery and you added cobalt to it, your cobalt will bleed out. And I wish there was a better term for it. There might be, but it bleeds out, and so it doesn't stay right on the surface. Where you paint it on will be your deepest areas, but then you'll see kind of like a glow around it, where that cobalt has bled out into the rest of the clear glaze. And so that's why you get those areas of light and dark, kind of watercolor looking. And so that's what I'm trying to get here, is that first I'm getting out those areas of where that cobalt has fused out, and then I'm going to come in and darken those areas where it was purposely brushed on, directly brushed onto the pottery. And so that's how I get the blue and white in my pottery. And as I paint it. Now, for the rest of this, I'm just going to start deciding, which shadows or which areas to blur out, which areas to kind of clean up, define my shapes a little bit more. And so it's a lot of back and forth. Like I said, I'm not worrying about perfection. That's not our intent. Unless you are a hyper-realist or you're doing a portrait. And even still, that if you make it too perfect, you might as well just, take a picture. I'm just trying to get a feel for it, for what I see and what I want others to see, whenever they look at my painting. so much for joining me and watching this video. I hope that you learned something or that you just enjoyed watching me go through my process of painting. I always enjoy seeing other people create, seeing their process, why they do what they do, or the materials that they use. So that's always entertaining to me, and you always learn something new. If you have any questions or if there's other videos you'd like to see me do, please let me know. Have a wonderful day in your studio. I hope you enjoyed the rest of this video, and like I said, have a fabulous day.